So I was, a couple of days ago, I was hanging out with two nephews, a nine-year-old and 6-year-old, and I don't know exactly what precipitated the meltdown, but it was something around Halloween candy and the relative division of lollipops, actually. Blow pop was the point of contention, and the older one just, they're in a kind of phase of real sibling kind of competition, and they're extremely sensitive to issues of fairness. Like, we will divide things down perfectly, and any deviation from a 50-50 split is like deep moral outrage. And so the 9-year-old wasn't happy with something and like really melted down, like just kind of inconsolable for a while, and crying hysterically, and sort of just a rough go. And I'm trying to do what I can to navigate all of the feelings, and at some point I was like, okay, well, I think we actually just need to change the topic a little bit here. And I said, Jacob, I have to go in a little bit. I have to go teach some big kids. These are undergrads at Cal, and I have to go teach them like meditation and being nice, and what should I tell them? Yeah. And he's just like streaked with tears, and all his eyelashes are bunched together, and he's looking so adorable and pathetic, and he's a very earnest kid. And so he just like through all of that, he just like looks up, he's like, well, just tell him everything's gonna be okay. And I'm like, do you believe that, Jacob? And he's like, not really. We have arrived at the everything's going to be okay, but not totally meditation session. Yeah. So this would be something we're moving into maybe the constructive cluster of practices that I spoke about. And of course there are connections between love and awareness, love and letting go, that we can notice. And so, in a sense, awareness is a kind of letting go. Actually, to rest in awareness requires that we let go of greed and hatred. It requires that we even let go of the moment, that we're not holding on to phenomena at all. We're letting experience flow through awareness, not holding on. And when we do this, this is a kind of state of a certain kind of surrender or non-clinging. And while greed and hatred depend on clinging, love really only asks that we let go. And so there is this deep connection between surrender and love, between letting go and kindness. That the heart that is released, surrendered, it is, there's just no ground from which hatred can rise up. And so something like non-hatred, maybe love, becomes the very default path of a heart that is not clinging. We start to develop some trust that the more deeply we look, the more reason there is to love. The more deeply we look, the more reason there is to love. In other words, our hatred, aversion, ill will always leaves something out. There's something we're not seeing in that. That to actually sustain the narrative of ill will, of resentment, it requires that we forget certain facts of the case. Yeah. And that to look more deeply, to look more carefully into the conditions of another person's heart-mind, doesn't mean that we condone harm, but there's less and less and less room for hatred. We begin with ourselves to be moved by our own goodness. Just to be moved by our own goodness. Something innocent about our own being, innocent about our life, innocent about experience. It's one way of, it's a different kind of language, but even just our wish to be happy, it's like, that is so innocent. We come to be moved by this. Just to be moved by the innocence. And then to love oneself isn't like a commandment or something we ought to do or something we do because we have these qualities or those or this accomplishment or that. It's it's much more basic than that. It's just to be moved by the predicament of being human, of wanting to be happy and not always being, having access to that. It's very poignant, the human condition. Very poignant. And so we actually take that in when we do this kind of practice. And it works in different ways. I talked about it as the constructive cultivation side of practice, but metta practice functions in at least 3 ways. So it can be that kind of accessing or cultivating goodwill, friendliness, care, a kind of non-discriminating open-heartedness, a non-possessive love, a love that does not need to control. It can be this. And that's traditionally how we talk about it, as a kind of cultivation. But it can also be a concentration practice. So sometimes there's very little feeling, but just behind we gather the mind behind the phrases of kindness, the words that we use to evoke metta. And there may be no feeling, but the mind just gathers, becomes more and more unified behind those words. So cultivation, concentration, and then the third possibility is purification. That the metta acts a little bit like a magnet that draws to the surface everything which is not love. And so we feel what's unfinished in our heart, our own resentment or grief or irritation, numbness. And the kindness practice brings that to the heart, to the kind of surface, so that it can be, we can know what buffers us from love. And then we love that to death. Yeah. To use a phrase from Shinzen Young, we love it to death. The obstacle, we love that to death. Rumi said, for years I banged on the door begging my captors to release me, and then realized that I was banging on the outside of the door. So we ring this kind of bell of kindness, and then we listen. We ring the bell in our minds with a word, with an image, and then we listen to the reverberations in the body. And we're not intent on hearing any particular sound. It doesn't need to sound, the bell does not need to sound a particular way. We're just ringing the bell and listening. Yeah. So, I'll guide us about 15 minutes of practice here. Just softening into the moment. Just exploring what helps you connect into your own goodness. A word, a memory, an image of yourself as a child, an image of yourself manifesting goodness. And just feeling into your own longing to be safe and protected, to be happy. Sensing into something like innocence. How innocent this wish is that I might be happy. Silently, inwardly, offering oneself this intention. May I be safe, protected. May I be happy. May I live with ease. Finding words, phrases that resonate with you. And these are not so much a prayer for the future, but a way of touching into the heart, touching into goodness now. May I be safe. I be happy. May I be at peace. Just releasing all the pressure we place on ourselves to be something, someone, to change this, to change that. Just rest with your dignity that's already here, and be safe, happy, at peace. Just putting down all efforts at self-improvement. You're already enough. Just surrendering to goodness, radiating goodness. We let go, and in the wake of letting go, the heart softens. Love becomes more and more effortless. However this manifests for you, just don't underestimate even just a moment of dwelling in kindness. So Yeah, let walk with the metta, let the metta eat. We'll be back to 7:15. Yeah. Okay, thank you.